What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we will be doing a $500 PC part list. So this is going to be centered for people that do not have all that much money to spend on a PC, and it will be able to handle almost any task you throw at it, honestly. With the high thread and core counts, especially a pretty powerful GPU for the price, this thing will be able to you'll be able to edit photos and videos for content creation. You'll be able to game and even stream with this build. So let's get started. For our CPU, we will be using the Ryzen 5 2600. This is a 6-core processor with 12 threads. It is really good. It's a really good budget option for those who aren't willing to destroy their wallet and getting a CPU, but also getting a good enough one that can handle almost anything, even if you choose to upgrade parts later down the line. It's a really good happy medium for those who want to game, stream, and anything else. For our CPU cooler, again, we're just using the Wraith Spire, I think it is. It might not be the Spire, it might be something else. But in the Ryzen 5, it comes with a stock cooler, so we don't need to worry about any extra expenses in that department. For our motherboard, we'll be using the ASRock B450M R4 micro ATX motherboard. This thing can support 32 gigs of RAM and can support the Ryzen 5 right out of the box, so you don't have to worry about any BIOS updates that you don't feel good about doing. For our memory, we will be using 8 gigs. I know it's a $500 build, but with all of these brand new parts, we can't really save too much money, so we decided to swap the amount of RAM for the speed, because faster RAM is always preferred when you're using a Ryzen CPU, because unlike Intel, it actually determines how fast your CPU can really run. If you have faster RAM, you'll have better FPS counts and performance in games, but with Intel, it doesn't really matter as much. But whenever you see a Ryzen build, always make sure it has relatively fast RAM. And 8 gigs will do just fine. It's literally a bare minimum. You can always upgrade later, but for now, that'll do just fine. For storage, we'll be using a solid-state drive, because these things are, compared to hard drives, these things are blazing fast, but compared to an NVMe SSD and M.2 drive, one of those little, small, rectangular, thin things that you see, those things are really fast. But this, compared to a hard drive, blazing fast. This thing, 240 gigs, will do just fine getting an OS running up on there and 2 or 3 relatively good sized games on there for streaming or anything like that. Next, for our video card GPU, we'll be using the Gigabyte RX 580 or 570, excuse me, gaming card. So this is 4 gigs of VRAM, which means it can pretty much, it's a really good budget option for $120 for brand new. Again, on eBay for used parts, your dollar will stretch so much farther, but for now, an RX 570 with 4 gigs of VRAM is perfectly fine. It can get you with some really nice performance in lower demanding titles like Fortnite or even Siege. It can get you really nice frame rates and resolutions with a card like this. Next, for our case, we will be using a Cooler Master Masterbox Lite. I actually own this case. I love it. It's a really nice case. It has a good amount of space for cable management, and you can see into your build, especially if there's some LEDs. In this case, there won't be any, but it will look really nice if you ever add some RGB fans or light strips on the inside. For our power supply, we'll be using a 450 watt power supply. Again, if you have a little bit more money, I strongly suggest you bump it up to maybe 500 watts so you can upgrade it without worry in the future, upgrading to a better CPU or GPU, something that has a higher TDP than what we have currently. But it'll do just fine for now. It has 80 plus bronze certified, which means it's a little bit more reliable than some other ones you see, like 80 plus bronze or 80 plus white or just 80 plus certified in general. So it's a really good budget option, and it's on sale for $10 off, so that's nice. And so that is the build, or that is the part list for now. I can't really do builds, to be honest, because I don't actually have the money, but I hope that if you guys have the budget and you stumble across my build, make sure you let me know how you think about these part lists. Do you think they're garbage? Do you think they're actually interesting or helpful? Let me know in the comments, and if there's anything I missed, please let me know. And again, the estimated TDP of this build is roughly 300 watts. Again, that can change depending on what you change in the BIOS, but For this, this is a really good build for only $500. I had this. To be honest, if I had this PC, because I spent $500 on my system, and I did not nearly get as far with my dollar as if I used something like this. I actually had 2 cores, 4 threads, and no graphics card for my $500 build. I know, it's terrible, but I hope you guys can avoid the same mistake I made and actually get a good system. Make sure when you're buying systems with not too much money, make sure to get a graphics card. Even if you don't have too much money, one old graphics card that can't do much is certainly better than one or none. So, and I'll see you in the next one.